What's the worst thing you've ever tasted? The glue they use on temporary dental crowns is extremely rude. Not me, but I made spaghetti once a few months back in the early fall, and I guess after the initial plates, I left it to cool uncovered, so I could put the leftovers away. So the next day my husband is enjoying some spaghetti for lunch when Crunchy bit into a stink bug that had landed in it. If you know how badly a stink bug smells, you can only imagine how bad it tastes. My husband was projectile vomiting within 5 minutes, and it's been months and he won't let me make spaghetti anymore because it reminds him of it. I cannot fathom how bad that must have tasted. Umbilical cord blood from a complete stranger. Not even lying, I used to be a paramedic and had to deliver a baby in the field once. I did everything exactly how I was taught in school and clamped the cord down and proceeded to cut it with my scalpel. They neglected to teach us in school that the clamped part of the cord is still under pressure. Blood squirted in my mouth, on my shirt, and on my pants, so I basically had to suction a newborn baby and stimulate her while savoring the taste of the same nutrients that kept her alive the past 9 months. To make matters worse, the mom wouldn't name the baby after me. TL. Doctor basically drank baby's blood. Brussels sprout flavored Jones soda. From the holiday pack about 15 years ago. Once I popped some electrolyte / mineral pills in my mouth and started chomping away on my way to the gym. I thought I had grabbed my almonds. They began foaming and tasted extremely bitter and sour at the same time. I thought I was getting poisoned. Also once tried an olive straight off a tree. Also tasted like poison. Don't recommend. Edit. This is crazy. I did not expect all the upvotes over my dumbassery. Thank you for letting me know I'm not the only person who has eaten an olive straight off the tree. This is awesome. A cheese ball at this church lady's house, one of my grandma's friends. It tasted like dirty socks that a cat had been playing with for months. But I have never laughed as hard as I did that day. I, stupidly, asked my then 11-year-old sister, who is on the spectrum and thus has problems modulating her voice, if she had had a cheese ball. She proceeds to effectively yell. Yeah, it tasted like a bud's foot. The look of death we got from that old lady. Edit. Well, I read all your comments to Katie, now 18, and she's so happy. Thank you all. Apparently she saw the phrase bud's foot somewhere and decided it would become her new go-to. After that incident, let's just say the saying was forced into early retirement. Edit 2. And she found the thread herself and replied below D. A lightning bug, firefly. I was running through the garden at dusk and one flew into my mouth. It was disgusting. Very chemical. A bird shit in my fucking mouth. Edit. I was lying on my back in a field and the thing flew by. It was a hit job. It tasted like warm berries. I hate these sky rats. Edit. Some of you are picturing a nice berry dinner and don't think it sounds too bad. These weren't raspberries, they were raspberries. Barn water. A properly ripened persimmon, in my opinion, is really good, but one year around Christmas I got one that must have been underripe or something, because it tasted good for 0.02 seconds before the texture turned into literal sand and sucked every particle of moisture out of your mouth. Literally the worst thing ever. When I was young, my grandparents on my dad's side spent every Christmas Eve at our house. It was great. Except my grandma's contribution to the dinner, which was an awful dish called tomato aspic. It is basically tomato juice jello, and is every bit as awful as it sounds. The whole family hated it, but my grandma couldn't cook, and did the best she could. I remember being 10, and tried sneaking some to my dog, that would eat everything from socks to dog poop. He growled at me, and bared his teeth. If a dog that eats poop and licks his own butthole tells you to get that crap away from him, you don't eat it either. This clear liquid medicine I had to take as a kid when I was diagnosed with a polio-like disease called Coxsackie. The name is funny, I don't even remember the effects, but that medicine legit tasted like battery acid or something. A Slim Shady. It was a drink I ordered from a bar in Singapore. A shot of warm bourbon poured into a warm half pint of Murphy's. The temperature in Singapore, as you can imagine, is something akin to being in a hot oven all day all night all year round. Even breathing is difficult. As a tourist you get hot and thirsty. I think that's the only drink in my life I just said fuck it after one sip. I ordered it, I'll pay for it, but bring me a cold water to get that shit out of my mouth please. God damn. Turmeric lemonade, today from Chipotle. Don't get me wrong, I love lemonade, and turmeric goes great in a lot of things, just not together. Also, prednisone. Do not chew. I was eating a hard-boiled egg. I bit into the egg and my mouth was filled with what I can only describe as a mouthful of wet dirty pigeon. I looked down and found a chicken fetus. It had feathers and everything. And it was the only time I almost puked from food. One time I was eating a bag of chips, I think they were Doritos, while driving late at night. It was dark, so I couldn't really see what I was eating. Turns out in the bag there was a big concentrated clump of flavoring dust that formed somehow. Pop that whole sucker right in my mouth. Big mistake. You might think it would just taste like chip dust, but no. It tasted like dirt and pain. It's like there was so much condensed flavor that my brain had an integer overflow error. I nearly drove off the road. So if you ever find something like that at the bottom of a bag of chips, I strongly advise not trying anything more than a little nibble of it. A guy puked in my mouth while I was intubating him. That tasted bad. I once ate a soft cheese that tasted like band-aids, plasters. Why do I know what that tastes like? I guess from pulling them off my finger with my teeth? I don't know. But that cheese was straight band-aids. One time I went into an apartment of a Dexist lady, died in her bath. I was an EMT. I could taste her. Been there in the summer heat for 2ish weeks. Flies everywhere. I accidentally drank a dip spit can instead of my beer at a party in college once. One time I was in the very early stages of pregnancy. I had been taking fish oil supplements. I had morning sickness really bad during this pregnancy. I burped not long after taking this pill and the taste was horrible dead fish. It was so nasty I immediately threw up catching it in my hands as I ran to the sink. Zombie Skittles. I thought it was just going to be a random mystery flavor, or at worst just a somewhat bad taste, but boy was I wrong. When you bite into the rotten zombie flavor it tastes what rotting meat smells like, and it doesn't go away. After you eat one it just sticks with you, and the smell comes back up every time you breathe. So disgusting. Once when I was like 14 or so I got some sort of stomach bug, and I was throwing up for 24 hours. I emptied my stomach totally, and was still retching. About the third or fourth trip on an empty stomach I vomited green bile. I'm still haunted by how disgusting that tasted. I stayed with some friends one summer during high school and the mom did not cook. It was a known thing. She grew up wealthy and married down into the middle class. One night she made something that was cream of mushroom soup, cooked in a casserole dish with fennel seeds, crushed up Ritz crackers and rice, but it all soaked together into a single consistency. The taste still haunts me. Girlfriend's tonsil stone. Edit. Thank you for the awards and accolades. Apologies for the vomit-inducing imagery. Those Quixel things. You make little art like a diamond pickaxe from Minecraft out of small colored cubes on a grid, then spray water on them so they stick together. Anyway, it said do not put in mouth. The first thing I did, and oh my god, it tasted like a lemon that had been addicted to heroin for the past 8 years. It was the worst taste ever. I tried a Palea pre-workout. It was supposed to taste lemony, but it literally tasted like liquid meat. Hydrofluoric acid alkylation units in refineries have a smell that you can taste. To me it was a mix between old broccoli and rusty pennies, and it would stay in your sinuses all day. Took a bite out of deodorant when I was in middle school. It was bitter and made parts of my mouth that came in contact really dry. Definitely good at what it does. Clotted moldy milk. I used to eat chicken liver. When I ate meat, I would bread it and fry it. It was so good. One day I found fried chicken livers in the deli section of the grocery store, and I had been craving them, so I bought them. I ate the first one just fine, maybe a bit dry. The second one I bit into was, Jesus. It had obviously turned, or was diseased or something. It was a gooey, almost pudding-like consistency. The flavor was so pungent that all I did was chew once, but it was all I could taste or smell immediately. I couldn't breathe. My eyes started watering. I started throwing up. Even my throw up tasted like it, though I hadn't even swallowed it. After I finished throwing up, I brushed my teeth repeatedly and literally drank mouthwash. I did not get that taste out of my mouth for days. To this day, it was about a year ago, I can still remember that taste. The disgusting beans from the Bean Boozled challenge. Seriously, how TF do they get those nasty ass flavors?